All right. So, um, I don't know what I ended up titling this one. So, anyway, a what should I say? A myth that's been going around about the LGBT community. And specifically, I've heard this about gays, but this has lately been happening with trans people as well, is that TV shows are promoting these ideologies. It's not an ideology, and it's not being promoted because if that were all it took to make someone straight or cis, then the entire history of TV should have made it so gay people and trans people do not exist. Because in the history of TV up until maybe the 80s, I think, you they didn't talk about gay people. I mean, yes, if you watched certain bands, maybe some of them you might find some cross dressing or something else. But for the most part, if you're watching TV, you're not being told that you should be gay or you should be trans, or in my case, you should be ace. Yet, here we are. So obviously, that is not the cause of these orientations and ideologies and identities. God damn it. And these identities. So why do people think that that actually makes sense? I mean, you really don't have to. All you have to do is think back to your own childhood when, especially depending on what age you are, and realize that you didn't encounter anybody from the LGBT plus community on your TV screens. You didn't encounter them in your daily life. And yet, some people still turned out to be members of the LGBT plus community. How in the world can you justify that it came from TV when no? I mean, that's like saying watching a TV show about um, black people or whatever, or fill in the blank with race or ethnicity or whatever, that it'll turn you into that person, which is ridiculous. That's not how these things work. Promotion means that, like, politicians promote their ideas by talking about them. Either they persuade you or they don't. Sexual orientation and gender identity, you don't need to get persuaded. The only persuasion that could happen is if someone thinks that they already might be um, on the spectrum somewhere, and they reach out and look out for information that explains, okay, um, this is how I'm feeling, this might be the label for it, or this is how I'm feeling, that maybe it's an experiment phase. There are all sorts of explanations, but no one is saying, oh, yeah, well, trans people exist, so by virtue of our existence, that means we're promoting it to other people because we want to propagate trans people or gay people or whatever it is. These aren't fucking Quakers. And actually, now that I think about it, the Quakers don't promote their ideology at all. That's why they died out. At least I think they did. I don't think they exist. But the point is that seeing something on TV or having something discussed in sex ed, like this is how you do safe sex. Gay people exist. You know, it's not just straight people. You have gay people, lesbians, trans. Just because you hear the words does not mean that someone's going to turn around and think, I should try that. That sounds interesting. No. It's so that's why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. That makes sense. When I was in school, I was never taught about asexuality. I wasn't taught about anything but being straight, but so I went through school. I already had low self-esteem, but knowing that I wasn't interested in coupling up in any way, romantically, sexually, that never interested me. Beyond, oh, everybody else has a boyfriend, I should get one too, because I just wanted to fit in. Like I said, low self-esteem. I cringe during that, thinking back on that now. But, and bonus, it turns out that the guy I dated, I think is gay. And I think is married, or at least is married to a man. So, this experiment worked out well for the both of us. I'm ace, he's married to a man. Worked well. But, we didn't learn about that asexuality was a thing. We certainly didn't have like a gay straight alliance. We didn't have any of that when I was in school. Yes, it was the Stone Age. But we didn't have any of that. So, by the logic of the people who propagate this idea that just by existing, these people are promoting their ideology, I should have become a typical cis straight woman. I am a cis ace woman instead. How can you look at your own life and do you honestly think that if you grew up learning about these issues that trans people go through, that gay people go through, that ace people go through, and you would honestly say, that sounds interesting, I might try that? Really? That says so much more about you and how repressed you are in your thinking. That, the old joke that the biggest homophobes are closeted, it's that similar thing. You are so scared that people will hear about these things and immediately become those things, then, and it says much more about you than it does anybody else. You're basically saying, I'm closeted. I'm so deep down in the closet, I don't even realize I am in a closet. And, because why else would this bother you? Seriously. I don't like it when people just assume that the latest bigot they are dealing with is closeted, because of course he is. But at the other end, it makes sense. A lot of homophobes are actually closeted. And possibly transphobes too. That they just can't accept who they are. Then you have people like Blair White, who is trans accepts that she's trans, but yet seems transphobic anyway, because she wants to be friends with the right wing. So, yeah, that's a different type of what the hell. But for the most part, seriously, I do not understand why people promote this idea. Why they think that this idea makes sense. It doesn't. You don't even have to think that hard about it. We grew up with the same TV you did. Obviously, those who are younger now have different TV, but if you're of my generation, then, you were a child of the 70s, a teenager of the 80s. If you grew up even in that time, there wasn't a lot of representation, and maybe a bit more in the 80s, but even then it wasn't that much. I mean, there was, I think, just the Golden Girls. I really don't think, I'm not aware of any other TV show that had, oh yeah, in the 70s there was Soap, which was a parody of soap operas, and there was a gay character on there. But for the most part, you didn't see gay characters. So I don't know where people are getting the idea that people are getting the idea somewhere else. I've seen that same idea with social media. Oh, it's just a fad that you saw on social media and not real. No, we kind of existed before then. Just a lot of us might not have had the terminology to express, to label ourselves. Yes, some people do, even some people who are gay claim that, oh, I don't need a label to define me. That's great. A lot of people do. They want to be sure that they're not broken, which you're not. You're not broken. But I just do not get this idea. I mean, seriously. I hesitate to use this example because this is one of the things um, that homophobes equate with homosexuality. But have you ever told a pedophile that that they learned this behavior somewhere? No, you accept that they are sick people and that this is just urges that they have that have nothing to do with outside influence. So why do you do this with other minority sexualities? Because unfortunately pedophilia is a minority sexuality. It's just a sick one that needs to be repressed. Or they need to be put in jail if they act upon it. But regardless, it's it's not something that they learned from somewhere. It's something they they just feelings that they have. And you can't change it any more than I can suddenly become sexually or romantically attracted to someone. I might look at someone and say, "Ooh, pretty," or "Whoa, look at that body." But it doesn't go any further than the eyes, in my case. So since I'm like that, even though I've never had an asexual representation in my life, it wasn't until I was in my 30s that I even knew that that was a thing. So I just don't get why people think that this is what's happening. I mean, again, do you have these feelings and you're just too scared to admit it because the world taught you that this is a bad thing? Or do you honestly think that people are going to stop being straight or stop being cis if they learn about these things? And everybody's then suddenly we're going to have to rely on science to make babies. I mean, which, by the way, trans men can actually have babies if they get off of hormones fast enough. But the point is, what the hell are you people afraid of? I really would love to know, why are you afraid of people who are having these feelings, realizing that they're not the gender they were born, or realizing that they're not straight? Why are you forcing them to be miserable because they aren't shown that it's okay, that other people have these feelings and this is how you deal with them and this is how you go about your life? And nobody goes about it the same way. So, again, I don't know what people are afraid of. I mean, it sounds like you just hear these stereotypes of what it means to be part of the LGBT community. And I do mean specifically the community as opposed to specific groups in the community, because I've had conversations online with people who will say things like, I will be talking about, I don't know, asexuality or being trans or whatever. And they will keep talking about being gay, which literally had nothing to do with what I was saying. They cannot associate the LGBT community with anything else but gay stereotypes, because that's what they hear. That's what they are exposed to. And so they just cannot bring themselves to understand that this is not just about being gay. Either that or they really have no idea how sexuality or gender works, because it is just maddening to talk to some of these people and they just are on one track about being anti-gay, and no matter what you say to them about other groups, they just keep going on anti-gay stereotypes because they don't know anything else. And they, I guess, assume that those stereotypes work for all members of the LGBT community, even those that have nothing to do with being sexually attracted to the same sex. So I would love to, I really don't understand this. What are you afraid of? Because it's one thing to be told that this is happening, but again, it you don't have to think hard to realize that that's just bullshit. The only reason people believe it is because they want to believe it. They have so much fear and hatred for the LGBT plus community that they don't want to think that this could be bullshit, that this makes not even a lick of sense, because they want to believe it. They want to demonize us simply because we exist. And they don't want to be told things like, oh, not everybody is this way. Not everybody's gay. Not everybody is whatever. Not everybody's trans. Whatever it is that they're on a one-track mind about. And it's just maddening. I just don't know how to get through to these people. because it's like they've decided they're going to turn their what few brain cells they have off. Just turn off the brain, and anything that's anti-LGBT, they'll believe, swallow it whole, because they just decided that they don't like these groups, and they don't care what little sense these stereotypes make, and they don't care if that particular stereotype is applicable to all members of the LGBT or not. They just want to hate, I guess, is the problem. So I guess you can't change their minds, because there's no mind to change. Anyway, I guess I talked myself through that one. If anybody has any other ideas as to why you believe these stupid fucking stereotypes, especially the one I'm talking about here, that TV is promoting the LGBTQ lifestyle. I mean, if you believe this, why do you still believe it? There is literally no evidence to prove you right. Anyway, I'm just going around in circles now, so I will leave it there, and I wonder what I'm going to end up calling this video. See you next time.